In a 1031 exchange, you generally want to move all of your equity into the new replacement property, which means you don't want to siphon proceeds out of the sale of your relinquished property inappropriately. Well, sometimes a situation comes up where you owe money from the relinquished property, but it's not evidenced by a mortgage, a deed of trust. There may be an informal loan tied to the property sort of mentally, but there really isn't any lien in the real estate record, or perhaps even any contractual nexus between the loan and the sale of the property. And many investors want to pay off those loans when they sell the relinquished property. But the problem is, how do we connect this debt to the closing statement? Well, one way to do that is to do an amended and restated note between the lender and the borrower that specifically says if the property is ever sold, the debt has to be discharged or satisfied. Also, another way to create a contractual nexus is to add an addendum to the purchase agreement between the buyer and seller that says seller's got an obligation to a lender, and as a material and substantial condition of the sale contract, the seller will be obligated to satisfy and release that obligation, that loan, as part of the sale closing. So there are ways to create a contractual nexus between this sort of unsecured debt that is more mentally tied to the property than it is legally tied to the property. And that is a way then to potentially use those sale proceeds to discharge that loan obligation as part of the sale transaction. Now, this is highfalutin. This is complicated and sophisticated. This is where you want to bring in your accountant and even perhaps a tax attorney to help you solidify the contractual nexus between the sale of the property and the discharge of this loan.